is packed with purpose, insight, and empowerment. This is Walk with Wisdom with your host, Genevieve Wisdom. Walk with Wisdom is a dynamic podcast series designed for men and women 40 and over who are ready to embrace their best years yet. Life at this stage isn't about slowing down. It's about leveling up. Each episode is a walkthrough guide to mastering life's transitions, rediscovering passions, and thriving physically, mentally, and emotionally. We bring you expert advice, real-life stories, and actionable strategies to help you stride confidently into a future of vitality and fulfillment. So now, please welcome the host of Walk with Wisdom, Genevieve Wisdom.
Hi, everyone. I'm Genevieve Wisdom, and welcome back to Walk with Wisdom, a lifestyle show on youthful aging, where looking good and feeling amazing as you age is our tenet. We've been walking together on this journey. Can you imagine? It's the 13th show. And today we're going to do another one of our Interview the Interviewer series. Everyone, thank you to those of you who have walked with us from the beginning. And I wanted you to get to know me as I get to know you. And I have a special guest as well who's back with us. And we're going to just tie everything together because it's so much information, so much wisdom, so much of Bruce's knowledge. And just wanting to remind you that, of course, a lot of what we talk about here, if you're going to change anything drastic in your lifestyle, check with your primary care practitioner, of course, because we're just delineating information and reminding you, of course, that you can share the podcast on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're live. We're on all the podcast platforms like Apple and Spotify, iHeartRadio, and of course, Old Brave TV. Make sure that you click the link and connect for all the shows that's coming up. Now, this week's Interview the Interviewer series, we have Bruce back because you've asked for him to come back and I've brought him back. Bruce, can you rejoin us and I get to talk about you for a bit? Hi,
Hey, Genevieve.
how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, thank you. And thank you for coming back with us, Bruce. This is show 13, and you've been with us pretty much from the nexus of the show. And just wanting to let you know, um, a lot of our valued guests have asked for you to come back because how I introduced you in the Nexus was that you take the complicated and make it simple. And it seems that they like that. I'm going to
Well, I'm happy
reintroduce
to
you
be
again.
here and happy to be here and happy to do that for you.
Fantastic. Everyone, I'm going to reintroduce Bruce. Just so to remind you who he is. And of course, we have so many incredible followers and listeners. So if you didn't hear about Bruce, this is what I think of him. So Bruce Polack, he's a seasoned homeopath, he's a businessman and natural health expert with decades of experience in the wellness space. Bruce has a gift for taking the complicated and making it simple in easy, actionable steps. He's passionate about helping people take control of their well-being. He's here to share his insights, wisdom, and practical tips for living healthier and a more balanced life. So get ready for a conversation. Bruce is going to inspire, educate, and empower us together today. Thank you again, Bruce, for coming back.
Oh, my pleasure.
Fantastic. So, Bruce, I'm going to set up the show today. So, when we started um, this show has been just so natural and real. And I've told people if you're looking for a show where it's perfect, you've come to well, place where we're real, where life happens. And my being a life coach, we have these plans. And Bruce, you've been to Life University like all of us. We don't miss that one. We have a plan and then life happens. And so thank you for coming on a real podcast where we don't have to pretend. We can talk about different things that happen with us, especially For those of us 40 and over, we were talking about menopause and hormonal changes. But Bruce, I just wanted to let you know we have a huge following of young people. Can you imagine that you and I are influencing the generation before? And tell me what you think about that, because I think it's great.
Well, I wish they'd known what we know today. Just there's been so many studies in the last 20 years and so many breakthroughs with natural health things. They didn't even know that when we were in our 20s and our teens. So I'm just so glad I'm just so glad I have an opportunity to get that information out there.
Excellent. Excellent. So, and again, everyone, a lot of what we talk about, um, as I mentioned, it's our generation, Bruce's and my generation, those of you 40 and over. We've talked about menopause. We're going to go back and set a foundation of everything. When I started on the podcast, I talked about some of my favorite words, and one of it was stacking. And Bruce, I know you know what this means in what we do, which is, you start with one thing, so you know what's working, but you may have to stack different things one on top of the other. And so we're going to talk about how you introduced to everyone getting rid of those symptoms, those hormonal symptoms, those menopause and menopause symptoms. And we had phenomenal guests, and you've been there with me, like Andrew and
Mm-hmm.
Gary. Please, everyone, go back to the other shows because we had nutraceutical experts that's been on. We had Dolores who talked about xenoestrogens. And so Bruce and I are going to take it together, tie it on it all together. And we're going to also talk about skincare. And as Bruce asks me some question, I'm really going to tie in this skincare aspect of things so you all understand why that was so important of me as to where I am. So today, Bruce, is there anything you want to say to finish up the intro, or do you just want to start asking me who I am?
Why don't we start with just asking who you are? So um, I've actually have a couple of questions. I've been thinking about this for a while. So you've often said that skin is a mirror to our internal world, especially during midlife. From your perspective as skin wellness expert, how do you see the hormonal shifts during menopause and menopause showing up on the skin? I've always been curious how you see that.
Oh, thank you for that, Bruce. Well, I'm seeing it right now, and I'm not liking it. I'm trying to move around. Um, there are many things that show up on our skin. Of course, we all know Bruce, and it's for men too. And Bruce, I love having that perspective of you being here to give me that balance. I like the balance in life, but our cells like balance. It's called homeostasis. So when it comes to skin and the hormones showing up, one thing that I noted immediately was, of course, that dryness, that dullness. I used to have this amazing glow and I always looked so much younger than most. And I still do. But I'm not, everybody sees that it's changed. And so for me, it was primarily the dryness, the dullness, and that leads to other things like wrinkles, etc. Now, when the skin is dry and dull, you and I both know that that's also a representation of what's going on internally, which is why I love what I do with my skincare, because my skincare is really, it's, by the way, it's called Revive25 Skincare. It's all organic. We'll talk about that more in depth another show. But with the nutraceuticals that's in the skincare, you put it on the outside, and then we pair it to what you've talked about, Bruce, on the inside. So dryness, dullness, etc. To me, that sounds like gut. What is your expertise on that?
A lot of it's just plain absorption. As we as we
Right.
grow older, we get under more stress. We have our high cortisol. We have leaky gut. We're just not absorbing all these minerals that are going through our body and literally going out the other end unabsorbed. So we did
Yes.
talk about a few products to help absorb in the gut. And we talked about L-glutamine to begin with. And L-glutamine brings the gut together, helps the mucosal layer, and it just essentially helps to stop the leaky gut. We talked about digestive enzymes because when we're under stress, our body is in fight flight mode. And when it's in fight flight mode, all it cares about is getting away from the saber-toothed tiger. It doesn't care about
Yes.
breaking down the food. And so your food is not digesting correctly and dropping into the small intestine, which causes inflammation, which causes leaky gut and all sorts of different issues. So if you take a digestive enzyme while you're eating or before you eat, it'll actually help break down that food that isn't broken down properly, so that it'll move through the small intestine and actually be in usable bits. Now, when I talk about food being broken down, I'm not talking about breadcrumbs. We're talking about molecules, right? We're talking little things. We're not talking, and the same when I talk about leaky gut, we're not talking about breadcrumbs getting through our digestion tract. So
Right.
if we include the glutamine to stop the leaky gut, we include the digestive enzymes to help break down the food to stop the inflammation, and then we throw probiotics in, which build up the layer between the gut layer and the food and the pathogens. And a good set of probiotics will actually kill most pathogens in the gut. And if they won't, they'll set up layers between the gut and the pathogens. So the pathogen can't get through the bloodstream. So we're increasing our digestion with the probiotic. We're completely increasing our digestion with digestive enzymes, and we're stopping that leaking into the bloodstream with the glutamine. And the leaking into the bloodstream with the glutamine is what really causes the skin outbreaks, because now we have
Absolutely.
toxins, right? We have toxins in our
Mhm.
bloodstream, and our bloodstream tries to put them out the biggest organ we have, which is our skin. And this causes eczema and rashes and digestion rashes and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, it definitely ties into what you're saying.
Absolutely, Bruce. No, thank you for that. And you and I have had decades of experience. So between the two of us, I have had over 25 years dealing with clients, customers, patients on my own. And what about you? It's about 3 decades for you, isn't it?
I bought my first homeopathic remedies in 98 or 97.
Oh,
So it's been a while
wow.
for me. Yeah.
It's been a while. Absolutely. So basically, I say that so that our audience gets to know us. It's Interview the Interviewer series. So Bruce and I are really, Bruce is asking me a little bit more so you understand the foundation of beauty from the outside in. And with skin, a lot of times, Bruce, on our in our private practices, but plus when we're on the floor, we've also had the great pleasure. I know you and I like to be out in front of people in a pharmacy setting, and when they come in, if they have all these skin outbreaks, we know it's showing up on your skin, but let's go within. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I love when you talk about glutamine because that's really going to break down, as you say, those things going through the hole, the mucosa, showing up on your skin. And later on, it makes it dull, dry, rosacea, eczema, all those things. By the way, everyone, you can contact Bruce and I at an email. It's best to email us because we can talk to you specifically. It's wisdom@walkwithwisdom.ca, wisdom@walkwithwisdom.ca, because it's not a one size fits all, is it, Bruce?
Absolutely not. Everybody's different. Even the amounts you take of things is different. So we need to fit it to the person.
Excellent. And that's how we come in. And we're that nice conduit. I love what we do, Bruce. And I know you and I have talked over the years. I've had the pleasure of having Bruce help me with my journey, and especially when I'm now well over 40, well over 50. And when things started to change, Bruce has been incredibly instrumental to help me reverse and revive and really take care of those things. And so it's not a one size fits all. And I know we've talked about many different things we're going to introduce to our valued listeners, like all the different stages of the menopause cascade, etc. So everyone use the email so we get to know you as well, and so we also get to know what to talk about more on the show. We also have our social media because you've asked for it, Bruce. We have amazing listeners and followers, and one thing that they've wanted to connect with us more, so we have a social media for the skincare. It's at Revive25 Skincare. And for our Walk with Wisdom show, it's at Walk with Wisdom. So these are Instagram links. You can go on there. Bruce and I are going to start to post more things. We also have our YouTube channel. So we're putting it all together for you so you can click at your convenience. But the best way is to email us and you get our one on one. So Bruce, I will let you take over if there's anything else you want to add or ask.
No, I want to keep following up with the skin, with the external skincare that we've been talking about, because, you've worked with so many clients that really weren't happy with the way their skin changed as the hormone shift became, as the shift began. So what are the most common skin changes you see? And how does Revive 25 specifically respond to this new and often reactive terrain?
Okay, and so everyone, I'm going to tell a story. And Bruce, I like to talk in stories. So one of the reasons why I wanted this platform, one of the tenets, to be beauty from the outside in, which seems counterintuitive, but obviously we know the inside matters. But we see the outside first. And so people would come in when they're having hormonal changes. And by the way, to our young people, Bruce, these hormonal changes start from we hit puberty. And so a lot of this skincare that I have people that are in their teens that are going, Genevieve, thank you. It's organic, it absorbs, and it takes away, for instance, the redness, the acne, the tightness. That's one thing that people start to notice. They have dehydrated skin. And then from all of that, the skin gets inflamed. So for me, Bruce, when I started to go through my massive hormonal change on the other end of things, I started to get this inflamed skin. But people would come in and say that where it's red, it's bloated, it's puffy. And so I have an organic Sacha Inchi oil, for instance. And Sacha Inchi and hyaluronic, what it does is it puts the organic oils inside in the skin. It feeds the skin from the outside. And then something like that, we can take an antioxidant on the inside. But Bruce, I'm going to let you talk about some of the inside things and we can tie it together. So the Sacha Inchi and hyaluronic is amazing to take down that redness, that puffiness. And Bruce, I don't know if you've heard this from your clients with skin. It's the dark patches, especially if you're lighter skin, the dark patches come out. Well, the Sacha Inchi oil, it's natural, organic. It's South American nut. It actually helps to decrease those dark patches. However, taking antioxidants on the inside, like resveratrol, which we talked about, and we have a resveratrol skincare product as well, it also helps. So, yeah, Bruce, I'm going to ask you something along this line. Um, so we've talked about inflammation and the gut. So we talk about gut health, and we know that there's inflammation that happens when the gut isn't healthy. How does this affect skin flare-ups? How would we do that tie-in for our listeners?
Well, the inflammation causes leaky gut, which we've talked about before, and this causes toxins to go into the bloodstream. And toxins have to get out of the bloodstream; they can't stay there. You'll have a buildup, and of course, bad things will happen. So the body
Right.
literally pushes it out of the skin. But I'd like to actually talk about something else you've mentioned, which is dehydration. Dehydration doesn't just happen on the outside; it happens on the inside. And our cells
Course.
are supposed to be full of fluids, supposed to be going in and out of our cells, keeping them clean, keeping them hydrated. And if we have the wrong type of oils on the outside of our cells, it stops this water from going into the cells and coming out. So then your body goes into water retention because it says our
Yep.
cells are dehydrated, but the water is not getting into the cells. So this is why we always talk about omega 3s and fish oils. Not only do they take down inflammation, not only do they help with skin, but they also surround the cell at a cellular level and permit the water to go in and come out. And this way, your body isn't holding on to water, so you're not water retention, but you're actually more hydrated because those cells are getting the water from the inside where they're supposed to. So when you talk about hydration, it's not just about drinking water and it's not just about dry cells. It's about how that water or how that fluid, the moisture gets into the cells. So we need to talk about fish oil as a product as well.
Right. Bruce, I love that you said that. So again, I like to talk in stories, and I've had very wise people over my life that helps my wisdom to be wisdom. And one, it was a pharmacist who believed in integrative medicine, like you and I. That's our background. It's integrative, not too far one way or the other. Um, but he talked about dehydration like this. Imagine your skin being like the desert, and I actually went through a Death Valley in Nevada, and I think it was 125 degrees that day. So just imagine your skin being dry and dehydrated, and then you just start to pour water on it. What happens to the water? It pours off. It doesn't actually get absorbed. So, to Bruce's point, which is why oils help that area, it helps that absorption, also electrolytes, also vitamin
Mm.
C, a lot of the immune things. And so, Bruce, we're coming up to a break here. When we come back, we can probably talk about some of those immune things like vitamin C, amazing for the skin, but it also helps, with that absorption and the electrolyte balance, etc. Thank you all for listening. Wisdom at walkwithwisdom.ca. We're going to take a break for our sponsors. Bruce and I will be right back. Hi, everyone. Genevieve Wisdom. Welcome back to Walk with Wisdom. It's a lifestyle show on youthful aging, which means looking good and feeling amazing as we age. We have the great Bruce Polack with us again today. Hi, Bruce. Welcome
Hey,
back.
Genevieve. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome back. Now, Bruce is helping me, us, or valued followers, listeners, viewers, tie it all together. Bruce, there is this stacking thing that happens in health, which we talk about, which is what is foundational, what is root cause. And we're tying in everything that we've talked about, which is so huge, from gut to inflammation to skincare. And Bruce, we left off talking about dehydration last. And I'm thinking we should do like maybe either a show or a little 10-minute tidbit that we're going to introduce to our audience in the next week or two on dehydration. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea. I read a stat someplace that said 78% of all people are dehydrated, and those 80% are so dehydrated they confuse the need for fluid for food and they eat instead of drink. So I think it's a
I
definite
think
subject we should talk about.
I know. I think that's me. And every time I'm doing it, I think, oh, I know that stat. Drink some water. And then it's the type of, oh, Bruce, yes. So, or valued viewers and listeners, we're going to talk dehydration in the near future. However, Bruce, just to keep everything together and have it moving, we wanted to talk about another major player, I think, that you introduced about or hormones and all the symptoms that we have instead of just dealing with the symptom like hot flashes, weight gain, etc. There are some other major players we need to deal with.
So we've talked about already. We've talked about leaky gut and high cortisol, but cortisol, as we know, is the stress chemical or the stress hormone. And if you have high cortisol, you have low progesterone. And if you have low progesterone, then the pregnenolone, which is the top hormone, is feeding the progesterone, which is feeding the cortisol. And if you don't have enough progesterone, you're going to be wired and not be able to relax because that's one of those things that progesterone does. So we need to deal with that as well. And if you are wired and tired, one of the things that are recommended is Vitex, which converts to progesterone. So you can increase your progesterone in your body by taking Vitex in the evening. It'll help you relax and help you sleep if you're short of progesterone. Men don't do this. This is not for men. Men should be taking a multi-B and other things.
Yes.
But for women, it's a major player. And then if you can balance everything, then it starts because when you're feeding the progesterone, you're in flight mode, which means you're not feeding the DHEA, which we've talked about, which means your testosterone's not being fed, which is your sex drive in a woman. The estrogen's not being fed, nor is the thyroid through the hypothalamus pituitary axis. So you're causing all sorts of shortages by being in high cortisol. So we really need to get that under control. And the way to do that is one, as I say, up your progesterone to calm your brain down, which stops the messaging to the adrenals, but also a good adrenal product, which will feed the adrenals and feed them nutrition so they can be stronger and they stop running at this full-on pace so you can lower your cortisol levels.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, I love that. One other, and let me tie that into skin. So, I call actually a lot of these hormones affect the tightness, the matrix, the collagen, all the different things that make our skin be so young and supple and tight and not wrinkled in our youth. As we get older and as it's out of balance and as we stop making it, it shows up on our skin being saggy, inflamed, all the different things. By the way, everyone, wisdom at walkwithwisdom.ca, or you can tune in to at Walk with Wisdom on our Instagram page at Revive25 Skincare on our Instagram as well. And of course, always keep in touch with Bold Brave for all the other shows that are coming up. However, we're going to have links for you because, Bruce, we talked about nutraceuticals, and Bruce has mentioned many of the nutraceuticals. That's a stacking effect with the skincare. You put the skincare on the outside, you take the nutraceuticals on the inside, you have a much better result on your skin and your health overall. And so we have links where you can get 15% off a couple of nutraceutical amazing people that we had here. Bruce, do you want to just remind our audience who visited us and then they can come to our website to get um,
Absolutely. We had which actually I wanted to talk about anyway. We had Andrew on, and Andrew's a genius. He trains doctors and medical staff, and he was talking about a liver product. And liver has so much to do with the body because it's your cleanser. It cleanses all the.
Yes.
One of the ways it does that is by making bile and taking the bile and putting it into the gallbladder and into the digestion tract, which breaks up the fat and helps you absorb, helps you break up the fat so it moves through the body easier. The problem is when it's not moving through the liver properly, it actually gets thick and it stops moving to the gallbladder. And this is a problem because now you've got a toxic liver because you're not moving the toxins out of it, which also can lead to fatty liver. Well, he was talking about a
Yes.
product called Tudka, and Tudka actually displaces toxic bile in the liver. In other words, it moves it along into the gallbladder and gets it out into the digestion tract. And by the way, if you want to really get rid of this bile out of your system, this is why you need fiber. It absorbs the bile, which also has cholesterols in it. So when you see those commercials saying this fiber is a great product for lowering cholesterol, it's actually absorbing the bile and moving it out of the body. But the bile also, or sorry, this product also helps liver, muscle, and brain by clearing non-functioning proteins. They're called folded proteins. And these non-functional proteins build up and cause a lot of problems. And and this TUDCA actually helps clean these out. So it's also good for the brain by not letting the bad proteins build up in the brain. So you've got they're actually doing studies on Alzheimer's, ALS, Parkinson's, and it's amazing what they're doing with it right now. As I say, the studies haven't been finished yet. It also helps insulin sensitivity. So we all, as we get older, have problems with our insulin sensitivity. So just to wrap it up, it helps the liver improve bile composition. It improves insulin sensitivity, neuroretinal protection. It actually protects the retina in your eyes and dampens inflammation by improving cellular stress tolerance. So it's a fabulous, fabulous product. We're talking brains, we're talking muscles, we're talking liver. It's one of those, I don't like to say this, but it's one of those products that almost everybody should be on in this day and age. And
Yeah.
as I say, I don't like saying that because I don't think there's one product everybody should be on, but you should really consider and read into it. It's a very interesting product.
Fantastic. Bruce, thank you so much for your expertise and for that product. Now, everyone, um, because Bruce and I, we have these incredible people. These are scientific advisors. So the things that we talk about, they have the research behind them. Of course, remember, if you're going to start anything, go to your primary care practitioner. You can also reach out to Bruce and I, Wisdom at walkwithwisdom.ca, and we can talk about your situation further. Um, as well as we will have a link for Cytomatrix Studka as well. You can save 15% off because you heard it here. So it's a little gift we want to extend to you. But Bruce, it's interesting you're saying what you mentioned about Tadka. And on one of the interviewer series, do you remember when you asked me specifically about the menopause journey? Do you remember when you
Absolutely.
interviewed me on that? And
Which
so it's interesting. Yeah, you brought up brain. Everyone, again, go back. That would have been episode 5, I believe. But go back and look at that. And I'll just tell everyone one thing I wanted the audience or viewers or listeners, Bruce, to get to know about me and you, because I didn't want to leave the men out. That's just in my heart for this show. Is just the authenticity as to how I've traversed life. And as a life coach, life happens and we just do it with joy no matter what happens. Well, my brain has been a thing, and it's a thing in menopause. However, there's so many other reasons why we can have brain maladies, and they can be mild, they can affect neurologically your thought processes, walking, etc. But it is a thing in menopause. It's on the other end, Bruce. We talked about mild, medium, hot, picante, and these are levels of symptoms, everyone. Bruce and I, again, are going to do a series on that. Um, And then, of course, depending on what type of symptoms you're going, you can get the different nutraceuticals, the different lifestyle things that we talked about. But interesting about Tadka, by the way, everyone, I'm starting on Tadka because I got it from Andrew, our science trainer. And it's really going to be something that I think that's going to help men and women, but certainly the brain aspect, it really got me thinking because brain fog, from brain fogginess to brain size, the shrinkage of your brain to neurological condition to things like Alzheimer's and ALS. It's very, very interesting, Bruce. So thank you for really taking some time to talk about this specific nutraceutical.
You're welcome. It's absolutely a wonderful product. I'm glad it's finally available in the market.
Perfect, perfect. I'll let you continue to lead us, Bruce.
So we've been talking about hormones and skin, and hormonal skin is real. It's a sensitive, confusing, it's constantly changing. Genevieve, what was your goal in formulating Revive 25 to meet the needs of skin in this delicate phase? What ingredients were non-negotiable for you for this product line that you have?
Thank you, Bruce, for asking. And we've talked about all these different symptoms and the menopausal symptoms show up on our skin. One thing that's non-negotiable for me, uh, okay, I love them all. They're all amazing. But one thing that I find both men and women respond to really well is that resveratrol and vitamin C toner slash refresher because you can use it to tone your skin. So Bruce and I were talking about dehydration. So it can bring back the pH of the skin, have it balanced so it's more dehydrated, and you can actually absorb the organic, healthy products that you're putting on your skin. Um, but also it's an antioxidant. And so DFH, Designs for Health, which is another nutraceutical company, we had the great Gary, and we talked about what a nutraceutical was. So again, everyone go back. I think that was show four, five, and
6.
six, somewhere in
Yeah.
there. And Bruce, you were here with Gary as well. And so resveratrol is an antioxidant. Um, the toner, resveratrol and vitamin C, non-negotiable. I don't negotiate these two things because they are antioxidants, and antioxidants on the outside decreases the fine lines, decreases the dryness, decreases the puffiness. Now, someone taking resveratrol on the inside is also an antioxidant. Bruce, in quickly, what do you know about antioxidant and how it affects us as we youthful age?
That's a really good question, and it's important to understand what antioxidants actually do. And they actually protect the cells from free radicals. Now, we've all heard the term free radical, but a free radical is an unstable molecule, and they build up in cells, causing damage to the cells, to healthy cells. So we don't want these unstable molecules in our body. So by taking antioxidants internally, vitamin C, alpha lipoic acid, vitamin E, resveratrol is a wonderful one. By taking these things, we help get rid of the free radicals, which help our cells be more healthy because they're not being damaged by these unstable molecules, which we call free radicals. So
Right.
definitely an important part of health.
Excellent, excellent. And thank you for bringing up free radicals because everyone, one thing we wanted in this show is to talk about things that you've heard of, but just take the complicated and make it simple. And free radical damage on the skin, so beauty from the outside in, again, shows up as aging. It shows up as a cracking, wrinkling, dryness, flakiness, sagging skin, and none of us like that. So if we put this antioxidant complex on the outside, take it on the inside, it's really, really amazing. Now, Bruce, was there anything else you wanted to say about antioxidants, or should we go
Well,
on?
this is a good point, actually, a good place actually to move into the xenoestrogens. I think it's time to
Perfect.
talk about those. We've talked
Yes.
about this is the next stage. So the xenoestrogens are estrogens that come externally, internally. And this is in the chemical skincares in our water, in our food, in our highly processed food, in the alcohol we drink. So you've talked often. You say mild, medium, hot picante. I love that, by the way. The levels of hormonal change that show on your skin. So I've known, I've known you forever, not forever, but for so long, and
Yes.
you've been on this skin journey and through the hormonal change. What actually inspired you to start the Revive 25?
Thank you, Bruce. So I have always taken care of my skin in one way. So let me tell you a quick story. I started modeling when I was 13. I was 5'8" at 13, Bruce. They thought I was going to be 6'2". I didn't grow really anymore, a little bit. But anyway, I was never a makeup girl. Love my girlfriends would stare at them with this amazing makeup. I couldn't do that. And so my mom knew this and she told me, whatever you do, just take care of your skin because the body might change, change. But if you take care of your skin, you can take it with you as long as possible. So cleanse, tone, moisturize. So from I was 13, I started to make sure that I focused on skincare, love makeup, not good at it, but I could put stuff on the skin. So really started a lot of the products that we talk about in Revive 25. And by the way, everyone, it's Revive25Skincare.com or at Revive25 Skincare. These things, I was doing them before organic was a thing because I knew if you're putting things that the body can't get rid of, we talked about the liver, we talked about moving things through the body, we talked about gut integrity, it's all tied in. But if we're putting things on the outside, that the body can't get rid of, it shows up on the skin and makes the skin look older, longer. So my motivation was just to keep great skin as long as we can. And one last thing I'll say on that, Bruce, going through the different stages of hormonal change, sometimes the only thing I have energy for, I'll speak about me, is putting on skincare that takes me about a minute and a half. It's amazing. You cleanse, tone, moisturize. That's your baseline. There's other stuff, but you do that. And sometimes just looking good, having as good of a skin as you can at this stage, you feel good. And if you feel good, maybe you'll do that 5-minute exercise that day. Maybe you'll eat like how we've talked about, not a lot about nutrition that's coming, but you know what to do. We all know what we shouldn't eat and what we should eat. We should move like, remember Andrew mentioned the moving. So that is my motivation, is just to have one little thing that if nothing else works for us when we're going through those hormones, we have fantastic skin. But before I let you ask me another question here, Bruce, guess what? The young people love this skincare. And I was quite excited and surprised that people in their teens and their 20s, and of course, 30s, love the skincare, of course, resveratrol, but the organic Revive 25 skincare. And one of the things I think is that they see the result so much faster than if they're using all the chemical things that usually they use at that age. But it affects their hormones at that age as well. So start young and we'll have less problems later on.
Absolutely. Well, also the the product, one of the reasons I really like your products is it doesn't have the xenoestrogens in them. And I think it was
Yes.
Andrew was saying, no, it wasn't. It was one of our other guests who was saying that these estrogens block receptors for the real estrogens to get into the body properly. So you're blocking the
Right.
receptors for healthy growth. And so when you're feeding the outside with healthy stuff, you're not blocking the inside where you need these things to actually absorb properly. So that takes us to the inside. And we have these estrogens just through life. Luckily, we're not putting them on our face anymore because we know better, but we have them in our life. And there's a couple of products a couple of supplements I really want to talk about. And there's three of them actually, or four of them. And we've got DIM, IC3, deglucarate, and brocagen. And all of
Yes.
these ones either help move the bad estrogens out of your liver, or they protect your body from the bad estrogens as they're moving out the liver. And there's a couple of products. We've been talking about products today, so we're just going to keep it going.
Yes.
Estromatrix by Cytomatrix, wonderful product. It's got the DIM, the IC3, the deglucarate, and then there's DIM and Detox by Pure Encapsulation, and it's got the DIM, the IC3, and the brocagen in it. And all of these, either one of these will really help to move it out. And then you can support your liver with NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine. I wrote it down this time so I wouldn't do my tongue twister.
So we can say it.
And
Yeah.
NAC, which is very good for the liver, or even just milk thistle. Milk thistle
Right.
helps clear out the liver as well. So if you're doing a combination of these things, you can help moving the toxins out of the liver. And then with the TUDCA, you're moving the bile out of the liver that just needs to be gone. So if you can keep the liver clean, you can keep your body clean, because the liver can do what it's supposed to, which is keep the bloodstream clean. If you're keeping the bloodstream clean, we're not kicking a bunch of toxins into the bloodstream that's coming out of the skin.
Fantastic, Bruce. Thank you for mentioning all those products. One other product, because what we wanted to do for everyone today, and we're coming up to just around the end of the show, but what we wanted everyone was to pull together the foundational things we talked about to help us youthful age and show you how they work together, how they stack. One thing that I love and I use is a Brocagen product. It's from DFH. Everyone, you can get 15% off that one as well. And it's just Brocagen, and it helps, as Bruce says, with the xenoestrogen. And remember, we have hormonal skin. So if these hormones aren't being metabolized, broken down, moved out when it needs to, the liver supported to do that, shows on your skin dryness, puffiness, lines. And we don't want that. So we put organic nutraceuticals on the outside and we take it on the inside to have that stacking effect. Everyone, remember, um, email is best for your specific condition, whatever is going on. Bruce and I are here to give you a complimentary consultation on skin or any of these things that you have questions on. Wisdom at walkwithwisdom.ca, wisdom at walkwithwisdom.ca, or on or Instagram page at walkwithwisdom, and skincare at Revive25 Skincare. Thank you all so much for tuning in, Bruce. Anything you want to say to our valued listeners for the last little bit?
Well, you've built the Revive 25 just not as a product line, but you actually made it a part of your a lifestyle. So as we hit our 13th one, which is actually a milestone, it's actually
Yes.
it's quite a milestone. What would you say to the future experts, the dermatologists, the estheticians, the naturopaths, valued listeners, about why should you join the conversation around skin, hormones, and natural care?
Thank you, Bruce. And as we go on, we're going to have actually a colon hydrotherapist come on and talk to us, which ties into skin. Everyone,
Mhm.
we talk about our skin, it's our massive organ, our largest organ. Um, and everything that goes on within shows up on our skin. So, all the other valued guests that we will have, and Bruce will be there to help me traverse, take the complicated, make it simple from all these different experts. It's all ties in. If you fix your nose, you heal your toes. You go from the skin to within. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we will see you next week. Thank you, Bruce. I'll see you next week, right?
Thank you, Genevieve. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.
This has been Walk with Wisdom with host Genevieve Wisdom. Tune in each week as Genevieve will present powerful guests who'll inspire you to make every step count. Whether you're walking your dog, tackling your morning run, or enjoying a quiet moment with your headphones, Walk with Wisdom is your companion for redefining what it means to age powerfully and intentionally. Fridays, 4 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network. Powered by B2 Studios. Take the first step with us, because wisdom isn't about what you've left behind. It's about everything that lies ahead.